All right, hello. We are back with Game 1's Draft Your Pain Gaming versus VRX. Random Minion Caster has decided to join me once again, and we'll see what other champions decide to join us as we are going to start finding that out pretty soon since we're almost finished off with the bans. Elise taken away is notable to me as I really wanted to see that from Yampi today, and RMC, I'm not going to.
No, I mean, we're in week 3 now, round 5. They've seen 4 games from each other. We're starting to see a couple of targeted bans here, not just, the Akali, Pantheon, all that we're always seeing. 2 out of 3 still there. But the Elise ban against Yampi just makes sense. You don't want to let him dictate the tempo. And we're seeing the return Zoe ban as well against Tinones, because Tinones has shown a penchant for just blind picking that Zoe first rotation.
Talia blind pick, also not
Yep.
bad, not unexpected, but VRX have a planned answer to it.
Yep. I mean, Talia, Renekton, that's the famous combo right now, but Nidalee Renekton was the OG combo. So take that Renekton, you pair it with the Nidalee. We've seen this before. Really solid pickup. And sure enough, you go with the other side of that Talia combo, which is going to be the jungle mid lane. Are they not going for the Twisted Fate? No, the Volibear again. I'm not sure why we're seeing a resurgence in Volibear. I really am not a huge fan of it. I know Robo plays it a lot, but still, I mean, it's decent against the Renekton.
I think so far it's definitely been one of Robo's best champions. He's a good neutralizing laner, if to me not a whole lot else. And up against Renekton,
Mhm.
that's exactly what you need. What does bring a few questions into my mind is this Galio. It'll be able to match the global pressure of Twisted Fate, and that's really the only thing that I see as better.
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind right now, this could still potentially be that support Galio for Waz here. So they still have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to flex it around. But that's it. Even if it's mid lane against the Twisted Fate, it's a pretty common matchup. It's literally just to be able to match the global for the most part. It's safe lane. Wave clear is good. But for now, Pain Gaming is not going to gamble.
They see, I see the rel and I'm like, oh yeah, they watched the game. They did their scouting.
Yeah, man, that battle made it's just too scary, man. You can't let it out. Yeah, it's a safer ban to take out, even if that Galio can be flexed support here. I expect to see a bit more ADC bans maybe come through. We've only seen 2 banned out, Aphelios and Kaisa, and neither side have selected their ADCs yet.
Yeah, and the Galio support flex actually makes me think that we could see a hyper carry from Vorax because Galio does pair so well with people that really need a lot of peel, immobile AD carries. I'd like to see them pick something like that up, but they ban away the Zaya. That actually would have been a pretty good pick for them.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, Misfortune's still on the table. We've seen a
Mm-hmm.
really high priority on that Misfortune. And the Senna. Okay, so the Senna is an interesting one because globally, Senna's been coming up in terms of priority. Her
Yeah.
ability to proc Kraken Slayer is pretty strong. Her laning's as good as ever, as is her skilling. So I like the ban. I think it's a nice safe ban. But Jin and Misfortune, the old favorites, are still on the table here. So they can split it one apiece.
We'll see. The Jin, I haven't seen as much priority on, but they will choose to lock it in. Oddly enough, CBLOL has not favored the Jin nearly as much as other regions. And right now, he's still in a pretty good spot. Still hasn't been taken down too many pegs, so landing near the top of the 80 carry pool for them, we'll find out who is for Pain Gaming. You mentioned the Misfortune.
Or yes, Samira is still on the table. And the reason why I didn't mention Samira is because PRTT's record on Samira is questionable at best here. And
Alistair though, Alistair and Thresh, maybe a Thresh. This could be the support gapped game that I was talking about. I'm really excited, and I know that the chat is going to be excited about the potential of or actually the certainty of a cow showing up in our game. But Thresh here for Was would be a very new look from what we saw last time. Rakan
oh,
seems so much more on brand. Lock this in. What? No.
okay.
What?
This actually is not a bad pick at all. The Rakan, I agree. That would have been a poor choice into the Alistair and was just baiting us here. But the Tom Kench, I mean, this is one of the OG safe lanes. When you pick a Jin, when you pick an immobile ADC like that, usually pair it with safety. And that's either Thresh Lantern or Tom Kench, just being able to devour your ally. And I like the Tom Kench a lot as well because it's so safe. If they do decide to try and make a global play, Talia, Twisted Fate, if they gank the bot lane, Wash just swallows Matsukaze, there's no risk about, being lanterned into the other global, into an ambush or something. You're safe. Was has to die before Matsukaze is going to die.
Yes, yeah, yes, you're technically true. But when Matsukaze, or sorry, you're technically right. But when Matsukaze is alive, my concern is that his damage just will not be comparable. If we look across the Rift at Pain Gaming, they got Twisted Fate, Talia, and Samira. Three insanely consistent sources of DPS in a team fight. And on the other side of this, you got Jin Nidalee. Maybe you can blow up one person, but I'll be darned if those are going to be putting up similar numbers.
For sure. If the fight goes longer, that's gonna be an issue. And there are, tankier members like the Alistair, like the Volibear for the side of Pain who can soak up the damage. But I think they might just be sort of focusing down, try and kill BRTT as much as you can. Because we had a discussion about this
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
And I know that, I feel like BRTT is if not the flat out cause of a lot of their wins and losses, at least a really strong indicator of it. It might not be causation, but there's certainly correlation between BRTT's performance and Pain's victory. So I feel like if you pop BRTT early, you pop Tinones early, they're squishy. They're dead. There's no damage. So I think it's a legitimate tactic for them to use there. And once they're dead, Jin might not be the best at busting tanks, but give him enough time, he'll eventually do it.
He'll get there. He'll get there sooner rather than later if they do start this off well, shutting down BRTT in the laning phase and injecting a lot of gold into him. Right now, though, both teams will be hitting their respective sides of the rift and starting off pretty safely early on. Even Lucy dropping a ward instead of wanting to stay around.
For both these teams, I don't think they want to gamble everything on a level one necessarily.
Hmm.
Uh, they just want to play this one good, and I feel like it matters a lot for both these teams because they're currently both sitting at tied fourth place here, 50% win rate each. And we spoke about Yampi. Karaoke needs to not fall behind, and already we're seeing Yampi exert dominance.
Did you see that Twitter stat come up near the bottom of the page with 97% pay? I mean, that's gotta be an old graphic because my lord, that is one-sided. I like the Observer is highlighting though we do have at least one deep ward being dropped there as VRX do manage to grab themselves a ward right next to the Raptors.
I think this ward is actually going to be more impactful for the side of Pain Gaming because we've already seen that Yampi on this Nidalee likes to play really aggressive early, wants to be able to control tempo here. So you want to be able to track to make sure if Yampi decides to invade, you can collapse or just to defend sort of the very volatile mid lane. Because while TF Talia is really scary together, TF is very vulnerable alone.
Yeah, and into things like a Galio that do still have the ability to lock him down. I'd like to see Nidalee pay a little bit of attention to this lane as well. There's a lot of places for Yampi to go, and this guy does thrive when he does have a lot of lanes that he can show up and when he does have a lot of kills that he can collect. He likes to play this chaotic style of game. I want to see that continue as we do get into week 3. Maybe not be intimidated by Pain Gaming, who, like you say, have a very storied roster.
In both ways here, because I'm still really scared of how this Samira is going to go for BRTT. That Samira has a story of its own from round 1 here, and we haven't seen he pull it back off again since then. Was banned against him actually, I believe in round 3 or round 4, but it's kind of sketchy. And you're already seeing them getting shoved in a little bit topside as well. Robo on this counter pick, Volibear is kind of just going even, and I feel like Pain does best when they're ahead. So I want to see where or how they can try and find leads here.
Yeah, you're really not going to find him through topside. This Volibear is not meant to do that.
They're
But
trying.
with with Karaoke moving up, this could be the call. Robo is very far from being able to turn off any towers here, and FNB does flash away under the tower. Robo actually needing to burn his own flash there, and it will be relatively even in this topside.
Without Yampi even being present here, you're seeing Yampi now go in, and that's the risky part.
In the meantime, though, FNB is starting his own fight there. Robo gets the shield, but it is not for long. And I'd be really surprised if he manages to walk this one out. He does go down to first blood by FNB. Well, in the meantime, Crastiel, he's found Karaoke, and that Galio does a lot of damage early on, slams him into the ground. Tinones needs to back away or suffer the same fate.
One of the rougher starts I think Pain Gaming is having here, and this was why we're looking at Vorax and saying that there might be a bit of a jungle gap. Yampi is strong, but this wasn't even really the jungle gap because FNB just manhandled Robo in what was supposed to be a counter pick matchup, which kind of now they forfeited the entire top side. So bot side, they need to maybe start looking there to make sure they don't fall behind there as well.
I told you guys, Payne. Listen to me. You cannot find this around topside. Not before 6 diving a Renekton who hardly has a wave under his tower. FNB was ready for that, and as much as it looked dicey, as soon as he did dodge out on the knockback from Talia, he was home free, and Robo was the one who was now in trouble without a summoner to save his life.
Robo burnt the flash too aggressively on that
Hmm.
attempt there. So even if they just walked away, even if Yampi hadn't shown up, it's still an FNB win. He still burnt your flash. He can still turn around, sustain better, and go in on you. So that's a really, really rough play. And meanwhile, Yampi's just power farming. We're seeing a bit of a farm gap here because Yampi just had to show up for a little bit. Didn't get any assists, thankfully, or else he'd be even further ahead. But he can just power farm and try and keep up and then come back out later just as strong, not stronger than the Talia.
When we pan back up to the top side, we do see that Volibear still is a counter pick to Renekton. This isn't a lane that FNB can AFK just yet, but Grastiel is going to have an easier time in the mid lane with the double buffs he picked up off of Carioca, shoving that mid lane in and making his presence felt
Mm.
everywhere else in the map. Yampi, I thought he spotted Carioca there, but instead, just does a very nice heads-up rotation to the top side along with Lucy.
That earlier back from BRTT and Lucy means that they can get there first. Lucy did sneak in, but I don't know if they might want to make a play for this. They have to remember heroic entrance is still available for Crastiel right now. Tinone's not yet 6, no Destiny. If they pull this off here, or if they go for this, part of me, it's going to be really sketch. And they wisely back off, but it's an
Mhm.
opportunity. Lucy was out of lane for a long time.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, literally, that was just burned in the top side, and now Crastiel has finally roamed his own way up with the Predator as well, gets the taunt, but Robo will get away under the tower using his own ultimate to get away.
That's you take those at this point because that was really really close. If that spirit hit, maybe they dive. But the scary part is, like you said, Crastiel is running Predator. That's not something we always see, and it means that even if heroic entrance is not available, even if his TP is down, Crastiel can still sprint away to get ganks off. And I've a feeling that's what he's looking for. He's not looking to extend the laning phase against Twisted Fate. He wants to get ganks off, get his lanes enabled on the side because they're going to be the ones to carry.
And he didn't even use the heroic entrance that time, had just picked up the Predator boots first buy and was able to force an ultimate out of Robo, who's now ultimate and flashless under the tower. FNB, though, will not stick around. It doesn't look like they're considering this dive too heavily. Yampi just staying around for posterity. It will be the one turret plate picked up. Robo gets stunned. Now the heroic entrance comes in, matched by the Fate here, and the Volibear hasn't gone down quite yet. Crastiel eats one more turret shot and does manage to get away with Yampi hopping his way over the wall, and Tinones has shown up just for the party and to give out a few tweets on his whistle.
The gold cart not enough to take anybody out here in karaoke.
This is
Oh,
a little risky. Blue buff. Oh, he's crucially picked up by Matsukaze.
so that's super rough for a variety of reasons. First of all, the good thing for Pain Gaming was they got Ocean Drake, pardon me. So they at least get a dragon for it. That's not bad. The problem was everything else. They lose the blue buff on the blue side. It's a free pickup for Matsukaze. Not ideal because Yampi would have liked that blue buff, but it's still a win. And the top side, the aggro juggling was perfect. FNB tanking almost all of it, and then they transfer aggro to Crastiel. Yampi gets out scot free, and the gold card doesn't take anyone else down. This sort of coordination is why Vorax looks so scary right now.
And it's really tough for Pain Gaming to come back from as well because they're missing that very same global pressure that Vorax just used to get an advantage. You mentioned Tinone's moving up there and not really being able to do anything. We might see the same thing here as the juggling comes into full effect. Matsukaze steps a little bit too far forward and he's just going to explode.
On gap, we don't have to worry about looks like the support gap because Lucy was on point with that. They waited, they had full vision. That was great play from them. And it's also their first kill. It goes into BRTT. So if my hypothesis is right here. This is a good sign for Pain, Dia.
I do want to say, as a huge disclaimer, maybe a little bit of maybe a small complaint it could be read as, in a game that I had pitched to support gap. I am sad that we do end up seeing a Tom Kench here. He even gets booped back by the Talia and will be picked up on a wandering support that it doesn't look like he's that comfortable on.
Little bit, yeah. The River King, I mean, you shouldn't be losing like that in the river. But to be fair, I think it's also just that the setup wasn't great from Vorax and the Destiny from Pain instant reveal. So they knew they had the numbers advantage. They were able to come in, they were able to pick it up. And now they get Herald as well. So that gold gap, which we were seeing develop, which was about 1,000 to about 1,500 gold, has now shrunk. It's only 300. And with Herald in pocket, they dropped that gold gap basically gone.
Yeah, it'll go away. We'll be back to an even game, and we're back to Payne still being a little bit worried because of the fact that Vorax out of nothing were able to create an advantage earlier. Right now, that gold gap still exists in the jungle where Yampi hasn't had to make anything up, and you've still got to play as if you're behind if you're Payne right now, and to try and make these plays to come back into the game continue to happen.
You can't play arrogantly at this point for
Mm-hmm.
sure. The good side or the bright news for them is that Karaoke is finally 6. So we had
Mm-hmm.
spoken about a bit of a mismatch in terms of global pressure here. The speed Yampi was getting around as well as Crossdale having so many tools to get to the side lanes. They now have the double globals coming through from the side of Pain to be able to match that. And I want to see it used proactively. We've seen the Destiny used, defensively top, more aggressively towards the Herald. And now I want to see it being used aggressively to try and get the side lane, specifically BRTT ahead. Because Robo right now, I think you just leave him. He's not probably going to win that anytime soon. Needs more time to scale up here. So focus on the bot side because that's a lane you can get ahead, does have an edge, and can take over a game.
He's unlikely to lose in the meantime, but the taunt in the mid lane will make you question whether we see Tinones living for long enough. Fortunately, Karaoke is fine, but FNB spells a different story. Topside as Robo gets taken down. Lucy, with the unbreakable will, does manage to get away for a little while, but Yampi jumps forward onto Tinones, and Lucy is being slowed up by the curtain. Tall doesn't eat the spear, but Yampi flashes forward anyway to finish off the double kill in the mid lane.
Hey, the aggression coming out from Vorax instead. Really, really well played. And BRTT late to the rotation there. I mean, considering the amount of time Lucy bought with that Unbreakable Will, that was a 3v4 the entire time there. But we get to watch what happened topside when Robo and FNB went at it. And this is why I said just abandon Robo at this point. There's nothing you can really do about that topside, bot side, Lucy. The Unbreakable Will here, it buys time. And Tin Owens getting tagged here instantly spells death. Now look at where BRTT is. He's so far away. And the fight
Mm-hmm.
away from him because we did see Karaoke going to the bot side. Karaoke is the only one who gets out because he went towards the right person. Everybody else, wrong direction, no backup. You're dead. They'll chase you down.
Now, here's my question to you, RMC. The fact that BRTT that wasn't there stands out to me as a huge reason why they lost that fight. But I'm pretty new to ADC this season. Is this a situation in which BRTT should have been there, or is this a missed call on Payne's part?
A
I
little bit of all of that. FNB? No, FNB
Yeah,
doesn't. This.
I'm surprised
um,
Robo didn't burn his flash aggressively. He has it.
I agree. He probably should have because there's no dominance on FNB was already used, so they don't get anything, and Vorax is able to pick up a free Drake, just off the pressure. But going back to your initial question about should
Mm.
BRT, I think that's a communication sort of thing where the team needs to communicate, and unfortunately we don't have comms, so we don't know whether BRTT just said one more minion because we've seen that so many times. ADCs are just like, I just need that one extra CS, or whether it was the team didn't call him, BRTT wasn't paying attention to the map and didn't rotate quick enough. But they either way they can't afford to keep doing that here because they just don't have enough damage in a 3v4. They need to have even numbers here. They are going to drop Herald bot side though, and will be trying to pick up plates. They probably won't be able to get the turret off of this push necessarily because both Matsukaze and Was are there. But that's a lot of nice plate gold to pick up to try and decrease that gold gap, which just showed up after that last fight.
And you're putting gold on Pain exactly where it needs to be with The mythic item already complete on BRTT. Now he's going to be able to pick up first turret off the wave crashing as well. There's nothing that VRX are in position to respond with, so they do end up yeeting themselves out of the bot side into the mid lane. FNB's advantage not going to be really comparable to Samira.
First brick is more important, right? Second brick,
Mm-hmm.
that's the runner up, the first loser, right? So FNB does lose out, but look at what FNB is doing there, though. Robo is getting punished and getting zoned out of even so much as experience range in the top side right now. And what do you expect? What I mean, is it surprising anybody that Yampi was in the area as well, looking for a potential dive? They don't get the dive off, but they continue to at least maintain their lead here for the next little while.
Nidalee Renekton up towards the top is reminding me of Beauty and the Beast with tail as old as time. Yampi has not wanted to slow down right now. Is up 2-0, so he's in his comfort zone. Yampi likes to be the one holding all of the kills and making his own, I want to say schedule, making his own agenda the most present one across the map right now. FNB sitting comfortably. I'd like to see Yampi go elsewhere with that impact because mid lane and even bot lane haven't really done anything but go even to slightly behind right now.
Fair for VRX. They don't need to play off their bot and mid. Like Crustiel was never picked as Galio to try and dominate, right? And in the bot lane, sure, it'd be nice if the Jin's ahead, but if he's not, it's not the end of the world here. FNB is sort of their
Jins on the
early.
roam.
They're playing to it. Have they found Lucy again?
There we go. They do end up picking up Lucy with the CC there. Yampi dives for it, but the Unbreakable Will is too strong right now. Lucy has got so much health. BRTT gets exhausted as soon as the Inferno trigger is dropped, and it is still the retreat from Pain Gaming. Now Wasp needs to turn away as Tinones thinks about joining the fight, and VRX will actually find themselves a decent bit of poke there. Pain Gaming not wanting to swing back, instead take a big chunk on their retreat.
That I'm gonna consider that a win for Pain that they got out alive from that because really they shouldn't
Yeah.
have. That was a horrific position to get themselves into here. They lose Herald, but they frankly deserve it. What to me is more interesting is the utter lack of global response here. You've got three globals on the map: heroic entrance, the Weaver's Wall from Talia there, and the Destiny from Tinones. None of that went through whatsoever, and it's somewhat surprising, but it's logical in that right now the problem is trying to match the globals. Tinones and Crostio, neither of them can use it when both of them are near each other because they'll interrupt each other's ultimates. So they're kind of stuck. Karaoke was close enough that we saw he managed to get to the fight without having to use the Weaver's Wall. So I feel like right now in the mid game, both teams have to be hyper aware. They're not pulling the trigger on these globals because there's always going to be a response from the other team here. And it might lead us to a more stale game where instead of big macro rotations, we're instead going to see a focus on team fights, despite both of these teams kind of having really strong macro play teams.
Yampi is definitely going to continue focusing on the skirmishes, though, as he goes toe-to-toe with Robo. Misses the spear the second time. Wasp gets the slow in. Yampi wants to continue this fight. Robo's got so much health to work through. Invests the flash and the Stormbringer to get him out of trouble, but BRTT picks up another tower.
Well, it's going to be traded into the mid lane. Shelly already there. They've got the taunt onto Tinones as well, and
Ooh.
he's careful. I don't think they can defend this.
Yeah, he's got a proto belt out of there after he eats the spear too. Yampi on point with these right now. Finds another homing spear onto Lucy, and that chunk is going to mean that you do lose the tower.
They're not going to play macro rotations. They start playing turret game. I don't want to call that rotations necessarily because people are just sitting there applying pressure, and Vorax ends up winning that trade because they get mid and bot for just the top lane outer turret there. And they're also the team to be in position to fall into this dragon objective, which just came up here. So Vorax, their team works better, and it's looking like their sort of priorities also better here, making sure that they're always in the right positions to maximize these sort of team plays.
And if you're a damage dealer like Samira, you getting ahead, but giving over a Mountain Drake, you gotta hope that that is worth it, especially because the Collector is up next. The increased armor is gonna mean the world to Vorax right now into that, and you've gotten another tower to yourself on the top side. BRTT has been granted the ability to play very selfishly this game, but it has got to pay off for Pain Gaming, and it is an investment that historically I'm not sure is going to work out.
investment gold is one thing. We saw the stat in week 2 that BRTT was the second richest player in the entirety of CBLOL. But gold is not what translates to success for BRTT or for the rest of Pain Gaming. A lot of more importantly is how he can leverage that gold. He needs to actually be at the fights. And the last time he played the Semana, I think he went 1-3-2. So in a game where there were plenty of fights. So it wasn't that he didn't have gold, it was that he was never there at fights. And we're starting to see little bits of hints here again of that
Mm.
problem where he's in the side lanes, he's pushing, but you're on Samira, you're on a team fight champion. You have to be there for the team. And I need to see BRTT be there, not the one split pushing when you've got two globals on your team who can split push better and still get to the fight.
He's playing Samira like I play Sivir. It's the Shurima and AD carries, dude. They get you in the side lane. You don't want to leave. You're afraid of everything in between you and the team fight because those team fight ultimates are so impactful that if you mess one of those up, all of a sudden your champion is gone. Whereas you can just invest in later, delay that choice. But it is delaying Pain's chances of being able to win the game here. The gold gap isn't significant, but right now VRX, they have got the first move on the map.
They have pretty much the entire game so far. And, it's only 20 seconds or 25 seconds before Baron spawns as well. If we take a look at the map state right now, if we look near Baron, it's completely red. The champions are there, the players are there, the ward and vision is all there. Whereas when you look at Pain Gaming, they're kind of focused mid bot side when Baron's about to come up. Their vision there, likewise, their champions are there as well. Not necessarily what you want to see from them. And that's how VRX has been playing. That's how they always seem to be at the objectives first.
Do you think that, oh, I might have to hold this as BRTT is below half health and could just blow up at any time to the 2-0 in Italy? Won't eat another spear, but that's pretty spooky. The question stands, do you think that FNB can 1v1 Robo at this point? Because Divine Sunderer into Gore Drinker has me thinking.
Yeah, there's no question they could pull off a 1v1, but I don't think that they could kill Robo under a turret,
Yeah.
at least not in the short term. I think Robo will be able to sustain long enough that it'll be fine. But if they get caught in extended lane, like you saw how far Robo was up with only one ward behind him, if FNB can catch him there, then yes, I think FNB can shred him down. But I think for both teams right now, the priority is to make sure that they can respond to any sort of Baron threat. We are finally seeing Pin try and make moves towards Baron.
Nice
Well, they're
moves from Lucy. Gets himself out of a real sticky spot there. Looked like he was going to have to at least burn the Unbreakable Will, but doesn't actually have to invest anything to get out of there. Just a small portion of his health bar. BRTT cleans up this minion wave, and he's got a considerable CS advantage right now. I want to see how the gold has stacked up because he's about 2 kills, maybe 3 ahead of Matsukaze at this point, just in CS alone.
Yeah, and more importantly, he's one full completed item up ahead on Matsukaze. He does have the collector completed as well, and I believe those are gold charts, so you can see that FNB is actually above BRTT just by the barest little bit there from the kills. But more importantly, the differential against Robo is absolutely massive here. It's not showing in the items as much, so I suspect there's quite a lot of unspent gold in FNB's inventory here.
Now, the other thing that that side lane is going to show you for BRTT, much the same as it shows you for FNB, is that there's a small experience advantage. And I know that it's not your favorite thing to talk about, but I hear Rude bring this up all the time, is how much the base stats do impact you, especially as an AD carry, having the second rank of Ultimate. The Matsukaze does have, but the additional armor, attack speed, all that comes with that on BRTT could be the swing in the team fight. If we do see this if we do see this Drake fight happen before that level is dinged right now, Yampi throws out spears to fish around. Pain Gaming want this dragon.
You might see a bit of the setup here. Tinons will need to actually start moving down a little bit more, though. Destiny's range at rank 2 is not really going to be enough to get from Baron all the way down to Dragon. Immediate.
Ooh. This looks like another call to just not contest the dragon, though, with Pain Gaming backing all the way off and committing Tinones to the top side. I'm starting to be a little worried.
They can stall. It kind of works a little bit, but how do you stall when you don't have poke and you're up against the Nidalee here? To stall is to basically commit to a fight here, and I'm not sure they can do this. They're certainly going to try, though. Dragon has spawned rotating immediately. So yeah, they're just going to sack a turret for Dragon. Pain to make this choice here means they're just trying to buy themselves a little bit more time because they will have to commit to the next dragon. You cannot give up that mountain soul to that team like that here, especially not if you've got a Samira who wants resets.
Yeah, you've got a touch more map pressure right now, as that is the first tier 2 to have fallen. But VRX, they've still got the double mid lane tower up. Pain Gaming have got to at least answer
There
that.
we go.
Destiny into the mid lane. Was gets stunned up under the secondary tower. Teleport just barely completes for FNB, but he gets bopped back in the middle of the team. Dominus is popped. Gorge Drinker is there, and it keeps him up and alive. VRX now focusing onto Robo. The spear's coming out from Yampi, and there's the curtain call to try and finish this off. Karaoke's eaten. Well, it's one after another. Flashes away. VRX have yet to find a kill right now. FNB looks for it. Slice dices forward. Takes down Tinones. And now Pain Gaming is just the cleanup right now. BRTT gets the Inferno trigger, but cannot pull it in time. Gets shut down by Was. And that is a VRX team fight win.
That's Baron on the cards here. Nobody went down for the side of Vorax. They can turn and burn with Tinones and BRTT dead. There's no damage for a fight at Baron here. They don't even have proper poke. Karaoke, with the Talia, sure, you can poke a little bit here, but
That's not where you want to be. That's not where you want to be, my friend. Robo does not end up winning this team fight, even with the assistance of Lucy here. Karaoke could change things, but it would be a lucky fight if anything. Vorax need to stall this out. Crastiel goes aggressive. Will they buy time to burn through Robo, who, I'll be fair, is going down rather quickly, but now Yampi is quite low, and it does end up being a nice call from Pain Gaming because they dissuade the Baron.
That's just cutting off a limb to save a life at this point here. Robo going down. He didn't have Stormbringer, so he was. If you go in, anybody who goes in at this point, guaranteed dead because no Unbreakable will Stormbringers. They're not that tanky. But you're right. In the grand scheme of things, they don't give up Baron, and that's pretty big. Because if you look at the gold difference here, it's only 500 gold, considering that Vorax seems to be winning pretty much everything here in fights, in objectives. The gold's not showing it. And in that last fight as well, we already saw that Pain, if they don't want to fight, is incredibly hard to pin down.
They're tough to pin down, but Vorax have the utility to do so. We had talked about them maybe lacking a little bit of damage with picks like Matsukaze's Jin, but Yampi has been able to put out some decently consistent damage. What stands out to me is their poke over time, and they can run you down with CC like the type that Tom Kench is providing, like the type that Galio is providing, and it becomes really scary. Vorax are the ones that really need to hold you down. Was could go down here, has the gray health to work with here, and doesn't even pop the shield in time. Crastiel gets a double taunt, and FNB's on the flank coming in. Inferno trigger does get pulled onto the Zanyas of Yampi, who doesn't even go down. Was eats him, and now FNB's in your back line. Now looking to take down Robo as the retreat comes in from everybody else, but Vorax are running over this fight, and they find the route onto Tinones, who just is not going to have the greatest of times here. Inferno trigger once again gets stopped by FNB. BRTT is not allowed to go off this game. They are shutting him down.
Pick for BRTT. This is the issue here. 1-2-0. I'm just getting flashbacks to round one here. It's a 2-12 scoreline. And last time they managed to throw Robo in to stop it. No Robo this time. Karaoke is almost dead. And so is Lucy. There's just no way to stop this Baron take whatsoever. Pain I feel like is really not playing this right. I don't think I've seen a single Weaver's Wall from Karaoke yet.
No, there hasn't really been a nice opportunity to either, because you're never fighting proactively as Pain Gaming like we expect with double globals. It does feel like they're constantly on the retreat, even when they have the tools to be making these plays happen.
And even in the picks too.
I'll hold you, RMC. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Pain, man. Like in more than one ways right now.
Yeah.
Pain's this is not looking good for Pain because the dragon's coming up in a minute, and they sacked the last dragon to buy time. So this is Mountain Soul potentially coming up here. Oh, and look at them just trying to force that. Like it's not ideal here to try and force that anymore. You need enough CC and lockdown. And the last fight started out with the knockback from Talia, but it didn't complete because the pulverize from Lucy actually interrupted that, and Was didn't even come in as much as they wanted. And now 1v1,
Might turn into
Uh,
a 2v1 pretty shortly there. FNB knows that he could be on the receiving end of Destiny. But what I want to point out here, I like what Tinones is doing. Twice now we have seen him go for Yampi and it doesn't work out, but it is so much better than going for Wasp, because that has been a huge problem for Pain Gaming, is that Wasp is the one that's closest to being out of position. Yampi, don't want to go in on that. We'll need to turn his eyes back to the turret.
on the outside track. VRX is on the inside track right now. They've got clean access to those turrets, and oh,
Call the Meek. Oh, yeah, takes him down. Robo's health bar
oh,
disappears, and so does Matsukaze as he takes down Tinones. Now, Pain Gaming, they've got Baron minions in their base. Vorax are going to be able to take down at least one tower, and actually, they're looking to end the game as Crastiel gets a taunt here. Lucy forced to pop the Unbreakable Will, does stay alive around the inhibitor. BRTT might not be
oh.
so lucky. There goes your jungler. BRTT survives, but at what cost? It might just be the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's double siege to TP coming in as well from FNB to make sure that survives that much
That's
longer.
a funny
And
TP.
the minions coming in here. Oh no!
FNB flashes forward, finishes off BRTT, and Lucy is a ceremonial kill at best. Vorax show Pain how it is done and close them out really easily here. Heroic entrance, buys space, buys time, but the win was already in their pocket. Vorax win the first game of the day.